It includes maybe reinventing yourself, rediscovering yourself. And so what we do is we give you tools to start your healing journey and become the best version of yourself. So things like self-sabotage, self-limiting beliefs that hold you back from becoming the best version of yourself. So basically, that's what Grace Mindset does. And I feel like it's my mission on this earth to actually just help women to heal, to be more stable when it comes to their mental health and their overall well-being. Thank you.
Wow, that is so amazing. And I think we have the right person for this webinar because as we are talking about women's mental health, and that is the work that we do. Allow me to introduce the second speaker, and also, guys, continue introducing yourselves as well so that we can know who is in the meeting and also share where you're tuning in from. So the second speaker is called Coach Nguka. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So he's a life coach as well, a psychologist, and also the founder of Maisha Consultancy. So he's going to introduce himself and maybe tell us more about what Maisha does. Karibu coach.
Thank you so much, Marianne. So my name is Nguka Ojwang, and you had the name correctly. And I'm a student of life, coach, and a psychotherapist. And I happen to be the team lead in a company that I'm the founder, Maisha Consultancy, which basically deals with professional, personal, and leadership coaching. So we work with individuals as well as organizations or corporates, if you may. More to that, I don't know. I love fun, and I feel that this is the right conversation on a right day. But a happy International Women's Day to every woman who's joining us, and I'm really delighted to be here. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything about myself, but I do many things, but in relation to psychotherapy. So yeah.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Yeah, and also thank you for wishing us a happy Women's Day. Karibu sana everybody who is joining us. We have just started with introductions. And thank you so much, Coach Nguka, also for being here because I felt like it was a really good thing for us to also have a male speaker so that we can also shed the light for men so that we can also understand you as women as well, and also because the topic is about empowering men and women, because even as today's theme was about equity, and for these conversations cannot just be had by one gender. So thank you so much for joining us, and maybe we can jump right into the topics for the day, the questions, and I want to direct it to you, Mary. And we want to understand what is this that we're talking about, women's mental health? What do we need to understand about women's mental health in general?
Okay. Thank you. That's a good question. So as I said earlier in the introduction, and I forgot to wish everyone a happy International Women's Day. I think it's been on my mind the whole day, but I think we were having the glitches, maybe not on that very important bit. So as women, we embrace so many roles in the society. We are wives, mothers, sisters, daughters. We take care of biological or by adoption or caregiving. We embrace so many roles. We are leaders, we are career women, so we have so many roles in the society that we play as women. And so women's mental health is an important element in our overall well-being. And so it's important that we're able to maintain a cognitive balance. Cognitive is just a bougie word for mental. And so having emotional sanity, a balance of ourselves and our lives and our relationships, just having a balance in all the 8 areas of wellness. Maybe I could mention them: spiritual, emotional, physical, occupational, intellectual, environmental, and social, even financial. Having a balance in all those areas then means that we are practicing good mental health. So, as women, because of all these roles, we tend to lose ourselves in the roles that we play in society. And so, it's really important to have a balance of all those areas if we are to say that we have an overall well-being. Let me say that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. We have so many roles as women, and I like the way you said about, balancing every area of our life, because if you're not really careful, you can find that maybe some are really doing well, and in another part, maybe you're not really well. And how about you, Coach? What do you understand? Nguka, all of you are coaches. So, Coach Nguka, what do you understand by women's mental health?
I think basically in very simple terms, for me, I feel a woman's mental health means that we have a holistic woman who's healthy. And if anything, to go by the whole definition of health, it encompasses not only the physical wellness, but also the mental bit of it. So when one is able to go through their day, when one is mentally fit, when one is okay holistically, if that woman is whole socially, they are given. And I think the theme for this year is equity and inclusivity in terms of equity for the Women's International Day. So if one, is free from the structural and social violence or injustices, then it's they're able, or their mental health is able to be augmented and it's able to be built up. So for me, it's a holistic, woman, happy, living fully, and comfortable in their own skin, and living in a world with social systems that that are for inclusivity and are for providing the woman with equity. Thank you.
Thank you so much for even bringing out the issue of, the International Women's Day. And something that we usually talk about in the mental health space is mental health generally talks about the way you think, the way you feel, and also the way you behave. So when we are talking about this aspect, a lot of people tend to misunderstand what mental health is. And when you see mental health, you think it's illness, but it's not really it. So whenever we are mentioning the word mental health, just think about what someone thinks, how they think, how they feel, and how they act. So moving on to the next question is, what are the factors that now affect women's mental health? Because we understand that now that you work with, clients who are also women, what are the things that they talk about that are affecting them? What are these issues, Coach Mary?
Well, thanks. There are so many factors that, of course, contribute to women's mental health issues. Because actually, according to research, 1 out of 5 women experience a common mental disorder. And the common mental disorders are anxiety, depression, that, are just common. Every time you hear, I'm feeling depressed or I'm struggling with anxiety. In comparison to men, for men, it's 1 in 8. So you can see that that's quite, a difference. So you can see that women are more susceptible to common, to mental disorders. That's just starting from the common ones. So one of the factors I could probably just touch on is societal, and also it borders together with cultural. And one is abuse. Um, I feel like the society and of course some of the cultural practices we have, they do propagate the abuse of women. And some of them could be, like, um, let's start with societal physical abuse. Statistics show that 53% of women have gone through some form of abuse. It could be emotional, it could be physical, and so you can imagine this abuse could have happened either in childhood or even in adulthood. So 53% means it's more than half the number of women that we have gone through some sort of abuse in their life. So definitely this leads to emotional distress, and this could lead to mental health issues because some of the cultural practices that also propagate are like early marriages. We know even in our country, these are things that are still happening to women, FGM, um, which is still rampant, things like son preference. And sadly, son preference starts from home. We've grown up in a culture where boys are preferred over girls. So we grow with that kind of socialization and that mentality whereby as a girl child, you're not of much importance like a boy child. Even in school, the teachers would say that boys perform better even in subjects like math, sciences, but girls don't. So you grow up with that mindset. And I think one of the things, and that's why my organization is Grace Mindset Network. I believe that the kind of mindset that we form growing up also really contributes to how we perceive, because I believe what you think, what your thoughts create your reality. And so part of things like polygamy, still those also propagate abuse of women, honor crimes, and gender stereotypes that we are struggling with. And even like today's theme again of equity, embracing equity, is that women are totally discriminated in most places. And so when we are saying inclusivity and embracing equity, it means that we are still struggling to live in a society where our differences are not accepted, as part of a necessary part of life. So it's like from the day you're born as a woman, everything is against you. So definitely women are more prone to having mental health issues. That's one.
Societal.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Maybe Nguka can add more.
Um, I think I agree. I agree more with Coach Mary, that society plays a big role in it, but also society encompasses, the people who are in that space, or the people who have, that's their space of influence. Men, and it could also be women. So both men and women in equal measure, play a role in um, mental wellness of or mental illness of women in the society. Another reason why women, affect, another reason or factor that affects women in terms of their mental health, I would say, is according to statistics and research that was done sometime in 2021 in the US. It was found out that women are 40% more prone to be affected by mental health issues. And that's why the statistics that Mary has quoted of about 1 in 4 women being, using some antidepressants and other medicines, prescription medicines, again, to try and manage their mental illness, is due to the fact that they have low levels of serotonin. Yeah, and that's a hormone in the body. So this makes them more prone to mental health issues. Apart from, the society that has always termed women as the weaker sex. right? Apart from, us singing strength of a woman and asking women to be strong and everything, but their biological makeup has low levels of serotonin. That's why they are highly affected by, mental health illnesses or mental illnesses, if I may. Another reason why they are affected again is nurturing, right? Um, as Coach Mary again has mentioned that most of the family prefer, there's a preference to the boy child or to the male child, and there are structural violence injustices that are unspoken. Some of them are unspoken, that are pushed towards women in our African society per se, when we choose somebody else over them, not on merit really, but because of gender, because he is a boy, we are choosing him over her in terms of education, in terms of opportunities, in terms of choices, in terms of decisions. We're choosing him over them.
Really love the way you brought out the issues of, even the biological aspect of the brain chemical like the serotonin, and also the nurturing that is really coming out a lot in terms of even how we grew up, in terms of how we were brought up and told maybe girls this, girls that. And now that one brings me to the question of maybe in your practices, and I know even in my practice therapy by Marianne, I usually tend to find that I experience a lot of clients who are ladies. So maybe Coach Mary, even in your programs, what are some of the issues that these women present with? Maybe we talk about anxiety, depression, stress, but maybe in terms of now the causing factors, what are they in terms of maybe someone says they are having relationship issues, maybe career issues. What are the specific issues that maybe they usually tend to present with? And that being said, maybe even for the audience, you can let us know what are the issues that keep affecting you mentally, and also maybe you can get to ask your questions through that. Coach Mary?
Thank you. Well, there are so many. They vary depending from one individual to another. Maybe I can just mention probably two. The first one, I think, especially now in the era that we live in, our society or our culture, I can say is really contributes to a lot of mental health issues because I've encountered issues like low self-esteem. A lot of women struggle with just being confident,
aspects
building
that
their
you have
confidence,
throughout.
and a lot of this is as a result of probably I could say the media
Mm-hmm.
and social media because it really glorifies unrealistic standards of living, and the promotion of the fairness creams. You have to be a certain body shape or a body type in order for you to be desirable. And definitely we know, even as Nguka shared so well, that even men propagate to women's mental illness because, again, what men consider attractive is somewhat how do I say, consider a certain body type to be more attractive than another. So actually, even in my programs, one of the modules that we cover is about healing the body, because when we look at ourselves in the mirror, do we like what we see every day? Because very, I don't know, maybe this is something you can actually do when you go home today. Whenever you're looking at yourself in the mirror, are you looking for the positives or you're usually looking to adjust a flaw? Even when you're walking in town on the street, you're always looking for what's wrong with you, not what's right with you. And so many times you find that already our mindset is light skin is the woman's ideal complexion. If you don't fit the standard, this makes it so hard for you to just have space for self acceptance. And so we struggle to bleach, we struggle to go for liposuction, we struggle to go for BBWs. We are struggling left, right, and center just to fit into the society. So, because I believe there's a reason why we are all created different, because the person we are created in his image embraces diversity. I feel like even us not being in a position or having a society that is safe in us enough for us to embrace that diversity in even just looks, that brings a lot of issues because you compare, especially now with social media. It's crazy. You wake up in the morning and see so and so has lost, I don't know how many pounds, and you've been struggling with your weight, I don't know for how many years, and nothing is shifting. And you start feeling a certain way about yourself. It leads to depression, self isolation, and all that. So that's one. Lack of confidence. Another one is probably in line with the first. I had talked about abuse and a lot of just being in relationships, that toxic relationships, and the struggle to either leave or find your voice in a toxic relationship. There's a lot of, I hate labeling people as narcissists, but there are a lot of narcissistic tendencies that are, coming out, especially when someone shares about probably the kind of relationships they're in. So for me, I feel like, I don't know if I should say some of the things that I do, but it's to just help you identify, first of all, whether you're in such a relationship, because people do come after Googling and they say I'm in a narcissistic relationship. But also, I help them to also see probably some of the unhealed traumas that they could have, because I really believe that we as women have trauma, and this trauma sometimes is intergenerational. Intergenerational trauma is trauma that may not necessarily be our trauma, but trauma that we carry from our mothers and our grandmothers that has been passed down to us. So we are healing from that. And of course, the trauma that we've gone through in our own life experience. And so we tend to also carry that, and it's manifested in the relationships, and those around us are the ones we bleed on because we haven't healed our traumas. So basically, I can say two of the major things is that trauma, bleeding on those we are with in toxic relationships, and of course, low self-esteem. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and also for summarizing. And I loved the fact that you brought out the issue of intergenerational trauma, because this is
Yeah.
something that a lot of people struggle with, and they're really not aware about it. You
Yeah.
just find yourself, maybe you're just, taking out your anger on your kids, and you don't know why, and then your kids learn that this is the way to be able to handle issues, and it keeps moving and moving towards the next generations. And it's really important to work on that. And also the issue of low self-esteem. Definitely I always tell my clients, if you cannot be able to love yourself or appreciate yourself, you keep finding it out there and it will never be enough. So that's why we keep finding validation. I remember, I don't know if you saw that we have a group called the Self Work Community, and someone shared about how ladies put a lot of makeup, and it was something that it was a discussion that was, not so well taken. But you see now the fact, when this is driven by the fact that I have low self-esteem, or I am looking for external validation, definitely it's not going to work, because it will always be I need more and I need more and I need more. And you see now, in terms of the relationships that we are in, if someone cannot be able to do this for me, then I keep moving to the next and the next, and it becomes a really big roller coaster. And also the issue of toxic relationship. I think that's a whole topic that should be had. So thank you for bringing that out. Yeah, and now maybe to Coach Nguka, what is it that you can also add? I see someone has also commented. We're going to read that later. And also for the others to keep commenting, what are the issues that are affecting our women?
I feel that a lot of our women are affected. Apart from, again, I think this uh, affects just the society first of all. What it, you know, talks of who a woman is, how a woman should behave, how they should be, the do's and don'ts of the society. They could be coined as morality, but some of them, I'll call them the extremes. Yeah, and this is different from one community to the other. And you see, until you go and socialize with a person from a different community, then you cannot understand why to some of them they look a bit hardy, but they are facing issues, but they can't talk about them because morality is coined, or culture is coined from one society to the other. So for in terms of society and culture and morality, that is a factor, but it is different from one woman to another based on where they are, the country or the society that they are living in, and how progressive that society is, or how progressive the people of that society are, and how open they are to the evolving and the changing world in terms of providing equality and equity, even in terms of merit or meritocracy. That is the other thing that also affects, as someone has mentioned, is just what I had mentioned earlier, and it encompasses a lot of things: the social or structural violence, right? This could be inequalities, this could be economic, this could be financial, this could be political. The space is not safe, and when the space is not safe, and we demand, or we have coined a way that someone should protest, you can't tell somebody how to protest, because it is always their way. If I want to cry, if I want to wave, if I want to address, if I want to demonstrate, that's how I choose to protest. There's no right way that you can tell someone, you are protesting in the wrong way. So, but the society tells people, no, you shouldn't do that, you should cry. There's also another thing that affects our women in terms of their mental health, or uh, the obstacles, if I may, is what Coach Mary has really put out there very well: the unhealed wounds, the past traumas, the you know the person that we are, that you're running from. And I hear a lot. I follow coach, therapist Marianne a lot, and you always keep talking about healing the inner child. So there is that inconsistency, or there's that unhealed inner child, and a lot of women have not gone back to their inner child and look, what exactly am I going through? Because when you come when you come to that point that now one is mentally ill, or when now we say that my mental health is affected, then that means there's a problem, and it could be traced back to 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 the childhood traumas, right? Our inner child may not be happy, will not be living out fully. And that thing is that a lot of women um, don't feel seen, right? And we are always looking, we're always in this world to be seen, and that's why Coach Mary has talked about when you look at yourself in the mirror, right? Or when you are looking, when you're walking and you're thinking of what's not right with me and not really looking at what's okay with you. So when we are looking to be seen and that is what that we're chasing, then you're missing the point, because we start looking at ourselves, or women start looking at themselves in other people's mirror, right? How am I? The differentness is not embraced. You could be different, she could be different, you could be coming from a different society, have from a different community, with different, advantages, or someone not having the same advantages, but not feeling validated enough. And a lot of women, I'll tell you, are, living, they're not living wholly because they are seeking outward or external validation. And this is akin to looking, at yourself in another person's lens or another person's mirror. So if I tell them anything, I'll tell, stop looking at yourself in other people's mirror, start looking at what you have, and validating that self. When you look yourself in the mirror, validating yourself, telling yourself, I am dark, and that is okay. I am, tall, and that is okay. I am thin, and that is okay. I am fat, and that is okay. And I need to work on some things, because if I work on them, I'll feel good about them. What is the motive of working towards this thing? Are you working on it because people are talking about it, or are you working on it because you want to be a better person at the end of the day? So we have to look at it from all dimensions. And the last thing that I'll say is that the thing that, even people say day and night, that some women, right, because they're talking about, again, I'm just bringing this up because they're talking about women in general and their mental health. Some women are the proper, are really hell-bent, right, to bring other women down. So in a very competitive world, again, women are very competitive people. We like competing. Marianne looks this way, I want to be better than her. Or Marianne has this job, I want to be better than her. Marianne drives this car, I want to be better than her, and so on and so forth. Now, when the competition comes in, you don't know where this other person is how this other person is financing their lifestyle, right? And you want to be as good as them on social media, and you don't know if that is just living for the social media because they're in the internet age. So you want to be like them, but you don't know, how they are able to do it. There could be, we live in a generation of happy faces but sad lives. You see happy faces, people all out there, having fun. But when they get back into their room, into their closet, then they meet again with this quote unquote demon, where they're not happy, they're not living their life fully. But we really want to be them, but we don't know their story. So why can't you question what is the full story? How are they, able to do this? And can I learn? Can I look at them, instead of looking at them as competition? Can I look at them as probably goals, or mentors, or a challenge that I want to get to this level someday? So, you know, get done with the competition, live your life, live on your lane, work hard at it, think and smart at it, and you'll get to that level that you want. But don't really want to compete. And while you're competing, stepping on other people's toes on your way up. Yeah. And when you get on top again, you find it's very on your top. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. And we usually say a lot of times, even when we are, when we are looking at people on social media, people share their highlight reels and not their behind the scenes. So yes, you will see, that person doing this and this, but do you really know what is going on behind? And I want to draw this question to Mary. People have really brought out the issue of the workplace. Maybe I see inequalities in, and I see toxic work culture. Maybe can you be able to shed some more light on that?
Um,
Yeah.
when we talk about toxic work environment, uh, I believe it's a lot of it has got to do with our perception. And some of it is actually true that it's toxic. Because what I know is that, let's talk about some of the terminologies that we've come across as women, like the glass ceiling. Um, this ceiling, first and foremost, has been it's a phantom ceiling because it does not exist. Things like, I've also seen something, societal pressures. When are you getting married? There is a biological clock. I remember at a place where I was speaking, and I asked some of the women listening to me, who has ever seen this clock that ticks, this biological clock that is always ticking? And we are told, your biological clock is ticking. I've never seen it, I've never heard it, but it's ticking clearly, very loudly. The same as this glass ceiling that is so hard to break. So you see, just as Nguka was saying, that um, we are we have so many conditions that have been placed on us that we cannot attain as women, and that really contributes to even just toxicity in the work environment. We have so many restrictions that have been placed on us in society. For example, a woman really has to work 10 times harder to be seen. You know, if she climbs the corporate ladder, she's apparently sleeping her way to the top. And I say that with quotes. Because many times a woman just cannot make it to the top, not unless she's quote unquote befriending the people on top who happen to be men. So again, how we dress is also, there's a blueprint and in society for women to follow, who we should be, who we should not be. And at the end of the day, this blueprint has never been seen by anybody. These rules, these laws are just not written anywhere, but the blueprint exists. And it starts from our socialization agents, our first primary socialization agents, which is our parents. Girls do not sit when they haven't crossed their legs. You know, girls should, we grow up being taught these things. Slowly, the blueprint is put in you. By the time you're now a fully grown woman, you know that we started playing with dolls while boys were playing with machines, right? So we are also being socialized and prepared for this marriage that the boys were never prepared for. So just to go back and answer the question, I deviated because I saw there was another point that was put there, but probably that's a whole topic for another day. Let me just focus on the toxic work environment. But you can see the comparison I was making on the two issues that are so interconnected, is the sense that a woman could be working the same position with a man and she's paid less. Why? Because the perception is that you have a husband who is giving you money. So why should you earn the same as this man who is probably the sole breadwinner of his family? And so he needs to earn more so that he can take care of his entire family. But they overlook the fact that you could also be having dependents. Who are your siblings that you're educating? Because we live in Africa and we are paying black tax one way or another. Topic for another day. So all I'm saying is that with that kind of socialization for us and also for men, when you come now into the workplace, we come from different backgrounds, both the women and the men. We are supposed to merge and work cohesively together, spend 8 hours a day together without clashing heads. And we all come from different mindsets. We've been raised differently. There's a way so and so thinks about women, there's a way so and so thinks about men. And somehow we are supposed to come together and work together peacefully. So definitely that will bring a lot of clash in values, clash in how we see things, how we carry out our day-to-day activities. It can bring in subordination of ways. Probably I'm a boss. Already I'm a woman who quote unquote slept her way up. So there's this young man who's supposed to be my junior, who will not probably respect me because he feels I am not entitled to be in that position that I have. So there's so much. I think, again, it still goes down to mindset. I keep saying mindset is everything. And that's why we really have so much work to change the narrative and help people to shift their mindsets so that people can actually just embrace each other's differences. Because, in fact, I was saying that to embrace equity, equity, which is the theme for today's campaign theme, is that we need to call out discrimination. And for change to happen, we have to deeply believe that in ourselves, that our differences as men and women are positive and necessary elements of life. So if we don't believe that our differences are important, they are necessary, that we are different, then we are a long way from change. Yeah. I guess I hope I
Yeah.
have somewhat answered that question in my own words.
Yes, you have, and also added some more. I like that you've brought out that aspect of the differences, because even that's why we are now talking about equity and not equality, because we cannot be
Yeah.
equal. We all are different in our own ways, and these
Yeah.
differences are what are really good in their own ways if we learn to embrace them and see how we can be able to use them. And that being said, now, the good thing about psychology and coaching in general is we are not just focusing on problems. If we start talking about problems, we can talk forever because there are so many issues that are affecting us and our mental health. But the question is, what can we do to be able to now work on it? What are the strategies for promoting mental health